Hey there, we have like eons of stories to tell, so if you want to follow us along on this journey and keep up with all the stories that we have putting out, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Hey, what is up, y'all? Chad is here, and today we are continuing with Avengers versus X-Men. So at the end of this video, we're actually gonna be halfway through it, right? Gonna be halfway through it. You know, we're gonna have like the next part of it. This is basically where everything, like the peak of it is coming at, right? This is not the actual climax yet, but this is like where, you know, the entire, you know, plot of what's going on comes to it shows itself, right? Basically, where we left off last time, the Phoenix had arrived, right? You know, it had threw Thor to the moon. It defeated all of the space Avengers, you know, defeated all of them, and it showed up to the moon where the Avengers and the X-Men had arrived at. You know, they followed Hope Summers there, and basically that's where we're at now, right? So the Phoenix itself is actually, you know, in possession of Hope Summers, right? You know, like she has that power. You know, she's trying to control it, but she can't really control it, right? You know, like she's losing her mind, you know, stuff like that. And this entire time, right? And she's just like, all this stuff is happening because of me, right? Like I'm not the gun itself. I'm just the person shooting the gun, right? I'm the person wielding it. So does that make me the bad person, or is my conscience clear, right? You know, stuff like that. She's trying to contend with the fact that if her being in possession of the Phoenix makes her the bad person, or the Phoenix itself, if that is the bad entity here, right? You know, she's trying to like decide what if what she's doing is, you know, if she's the problem here, right? Because basically this entire conflict is basically stemming because of her, right? All the Avengers fighting each other, all the X-Men, they're basically like here fighting, you know, for Hope Summers, right? And she doesn't know if she's the problem, if she's the reason that this is happening, or if it's because what she could become is what is the reason for this happening, right? So with all that going on, right? Like she's just watching this happen, right? And she just like loses it, right? She's just like stop, and like just literally blasts every single body away, right? Like literally just starts incinerating all of them, right? So Wolverine, like he gets like the brunt of it, you know, he's just like, you know, scarred up, you know, he's just like set on fire, all that stuff. And like Hope Summers, she's just like talking to him, right? And basically she's trying to get him to kill her, right? Because she can't, you know, the deal that they made on that aircraft was that, you know, if she can't control the power, you know, if it's too much for her, you know, if it starts taking over her, kill her, right? And that's basically what Wolverine is doing, right? So when Wolverine goes to do that, Cyclops blasts him, right? Because Cyclops, he's trying to keep her alive, because he sees her as their only way, the mutants' only way of actually leaving the oppression that they're in, right? So with that happening, we actually get the entirety of what Iron Man is doing here, right? So Iron Man, he's the ideas guy, right? Iron Man is the ideas guy. That's his biggest problem, okay? Because like most of the times when Iron Man has like ideas, yeah, they might work, but the times that they don't, oh my god, the times that his ideas don't work, catastrophic. And this is one of those times, right? So he basically is talking to Hickman, and he's basically saying that he has this, you know, this robot, right? And it's basically a disruptor. It's an energy disruptor, right? So he's going to use that and try to blast the Phoenix to basically try to destroy it, right? It's not going to work out the way he thinks it should, but he's going to try to destroy it, right? So with that happening, right, we go to all these Avengers, right, all of them fighting the X-Men, right, and eventually the Phoenix reemerges, right out of Hope Summers, right, all that energy just comes right back out, right. As soon as that happens, Captain America, he calls in Tony Stark. He's like, come on out, Tony Stark, we need you, right, we need you to come and bring your thing here, and we need you to blast it, right. So when the Phoenix shows up, everyone feels it, right? Everyone on the moon feels it. The space Avengers that were out there, they're awakened. They feel it. Everyone is feeling it. Professor X and his son Legion, everyone on Earth, they all feel it. The Scarlet Witch herself feels it. Like everyone can sense this thing's power, right? That's the kind of power that they're talking about here, right? Just basically an unlimited amount of power, right? So with that happening, Iron Man, he takes off, right? He takes off, flies towards the Phoenix, right? So with that happening, all the Avengers get up, right? Like they get up and they're basically facing off against the mutants again. They're basically having this standoff, right? And basically Captain America, he's trying to talk Cyclops down, right? Because Cyclops, he's not having none of it, right? Like he sees Hope Summers as his one and only chance for the peaceful lives of all the mutants. He sees her as that, right? So he's not backing down at all, right? But eventually, Iron Man, he makes it to the Phoenix, right? And as soon as he gets there, he fires his disruptors. He fires his disruptors, right? As soon as that happens, the Phoenix dissipates, like literally just shatters, right? And it just like knocks everybody out, right? It knocks every single one of them out. So Captain America, he ends up waking up, right? You know, he's just like sitting there. He's like, okay, is everybody good? Like, what's going on with everybody, right? And Iron Man, he like calls into him, right? You know, he chimes in. He's like, okay, did I kill it? Like, what's the deal there? Like, I can't see much. Captain America, he just like looks up. Cyclops, Namor, Emma Frost, Ilyana Rasputin, Magic, and Colossus. They all have a piece of the Phoenix Force within them. This ridiculously like potent amount of power, they all have it. It didn't go to Hope Summers, it didn't get destroyed or none of that stuff. It just went into them. And whenever people talking about the Phoenix 5, this is who they're talking about, right? So when they start talking about, you know, like making the world better, you know, like they're gonna get to work on, you know, making the world better for, you know, everyone to live in, right? Not just for mutants, but, you know, for like humans and all that kind of stuff. They're gonna end wars, you know, stuff like that. Captain America, you know, he calls them lunatics, which I kind of don't agree with. I mean, like if they were actually, you know, doing the stuff that they said they're gonna do, I mean, fine, you know, like he starts, you know, talking about, you know, stuff like that. He's basically gonna try to stop them still, right? So, with Cyclops, you know, realizing that he's more than what he used to be, you know, like he's more than just a mutant, you know, he's more than a human. You know, he takes Hope Summers and they fly off back to Earth, right? Like every single one of them, they just take off back to Earth, right? With that happening, we skip ahead some days, right? So we skip ahead like 10 days and we show up in Utopia, right? Show up in Utopia and Magneto, he's just like standing there, right? And this ship, it comes down, it brings Professor X down, right? So Professor X is meeting Magneto in Utopia. And it looks just like, it looks ridiculously futuristic. It looks lavish. Like the makeover that the mutants did with this is ridiculous. And like Professor X is talking about that. He's like, okay, the stuff that they've achieved here is insane. And like while they're walking, you know, like Magneto, he takes him to basically to Cyclops' to his office pretty much, right? Like it's the room that he works out of pretty much, right? So when he gets there, Cyclops is talking to him, and this right here is like, you know, it's showing Cyclops' deviation, right? Like the way he used to think into the way he thinks now, right? So that's basically what Professor X is. Like him and the old Cyclops, they used to think a lot alike, right? They just wanted peace for mutant and mankind. That was basically it, right? So that happening, right? Professor X, he shows up and he's basically telling Cyclops that people are scared, right? So the Phoenix 5, they basically have all this power, right? And none of them are normal humans, right? They can't just talk to them and be like, okay, yeah, this wouldn't be good for humans, okay? Like, you know, this will only be good for, you know, mutants and, you know, stuff like that, right? So it makes sense that people would be scared, right? Because they don't know what they're gonna do with all this power, right? So with that happening, Cyclops, you know, he starts telling them that they're doing all this good stuff, like all these like countries where there was like, you know, a lack of food, like they have food now. Where there was a lack of water, they have water now. All these different like wars and stuff, you know, they're ended, right? Like the Phoenix 5 did all that stuff, right? They basically made like an infinite energy source for, you know, like Utopia and, you know, a few different other places, you know, stuff like that, right? You know, he's basically saying that he's giving Professor X the dream that he's always had, right? Like, you know, peace for mutant kind, right? To live in harmony with humans, right? So with that happening, we go to the Avengers, right? We go to the Avengers, you know, a few days later, and basically Captain America, he's talking to Danny Rand, and he's basically asking Danny Rand what happened on the mission that they went out on, right? So basically Danny Rand, you know, they went to this Hydra nest and they're basically trying to figure out, you know, like what's going on. They're basically trying to, you know, destroy this Hydra nest, right? So when they're doing that, these electric monsters, they show up, right? And as soon as they show up, they just start giving Danny Rand, Spider-Woman, Luke Cage, everyone that went on that mission a hard time, right? And while they're doing that, you know, they're getting destroyed, you know, stuff like that. Colossus shows up, right? Like Colossus, one of the Phoenix 5, he just shows up out of nowhere, right? And as soon as he does, you would expect there to be like a huge fight, you know, like him to just like wipe them out of the way or something like that. No, he just like sits there, he talks to them, right? You know, they're just talking. And basically what Danny Rand says is, there's more power now for the mutants, right? Like he basically cut a deal with them to have them providing power to Utopia, pretty much, right? That's basically what their entire conversation was, right? So with that happening, everyone, all of the Avengers, they're basically talking about what they're gonna do. They're basically trying to decide if they're gonna, you know, like take out the Phoenix 5, you know, let them do what they're doing. And there's a few here that's actually, you know, with letting them do what they're doing, but for the most part, they just want to take them out, right? They don't think that they should have this much power. They don't think one person should have, or, you know, 5 individual people should have this much power unto themselves, right? And basically the two who are actually, you know, like in favor of letting them keep the, you know, like do what they're doing is Black Panther and Hank McCoy. Beast, pretty much, you know, probably the 2 smartest people here, right? So with that happening, well, other than Iron Man, but, you know, Iron Man, he does whatever, you know, is Iron Man, you know, Tony Stark, you know, he don't really make the best decisions. So with that happening, basically Black Panther, he's just saying, you know, stuff like, okay, we haven't seen them, you know, do anything bad, right? Like we haven't physically seen them or even heard of them actually making any bad decisions so far. So what makes you think we should be so, you know, in a rush to, you know, stop them from doing what they're doing, right? And basically Beast's whole point is like, I mean, they're my friends. Like I'm an X-Men. Like I like these are my people. I've grown up with them. Like I'm not about to, you know, sit here and conspire against them, right? And, you know, he ends up giving his resignation to the Avengers and he leaves, right? You know, basically telling Wolverine, you know, when he's leaving, you know, stuff like that. So with that happening, they're still, you know, making their plans and stuff. And Hope Summer, she's just in Utopia, right? And basically Cyclops, he shows up, you know, he's basically trying to ask her this one question. But when he shows up, he's telling her that she just, you know, she can leave whatever, you know? And basically like the entire time he's telling her that, it's basically like she can't actually leave. Like he's not gonna actually let her leave. Like she's stuck there. She's stuck there. He's telling her that she can leave, but we'll see later. That's not really going to be something that he's, you know, agreeing with, right? So when she says that, you know, like, you know, I don't really want to leave, you know, like, you know, I want to, but, you know, I can't leave, right? You know, like, I feel the Phoenix, you know, it's calling to me. I think I should stay here, you know, stuff like that. And when Cyclops, you know, he hands out his hand, right? And he's like asking her, like, you know, if I were to give, like, offer you all this power, if I were to say, Hope, do you want this power? And you say yes, and I give it to you, what would you say? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I would love all that power, right? And he like takes his hand back as soon as she reaches for it. She's like, but you denied it earlier. Like, you rejected this. All of this power came to you, and you said you didn't want it, which is why I know you don't want it, nor do you need this power. So you're not gonna have it, right? And he just leaves just like that, right? Basically, like that entire conversation was just bogus. Like. It was just bogus, right? Like it was so unnecessary. Like he was just literally just coming in, just like handing her, putting his hand out, you know, with like some cookies, and like as soon as she reaches for one, snatches it away. That's basically all he did, right? So with that happening, right, we go to, well, it's like a few days later, right? You know, like there's like a bunch of time skips here, right? You know, basically just showing the progress that they're making, pretty much, right? So like 3 days later, right, you know, Captain America, Black Panther, and Iron Man, they're in the White House, right? And it's good that Black Panther's here because like he's smart. He's not like Tony Stark kind of smart, right? Because Tony Stark, he's, you know, he looks to the future a lot, right? Black Panther, he's just in the now. He's just looking at what people are doing now, and he's like, okay, I mean, this probably could be bad, but at the same time, it probably could be good, okay? Like it's not necessarily, you know, like him looking at, because he doesn't like humanity, okay? And if these were like humans who had this power, he probably wouldn't let them, you know, he would probably vote against letting them keep it, right? But these are mutants, okay? These are completely different people, completely got different ideology. So what Tony Stark does, like Tony Stark, he's like, you know, like he could see the bad in stuff, right? But you know, Black Panther, he's just like neutral about it, right? So with that happening, Captain America and Tony Stark, they're telling the president, you know, about what's going on, right? You know, he's telling the president, and Black Panther is just like, no, I mean, I don't think we should do any of that stuff, right? Like, y'all weren't at the conference that was, you know, for all the world leaders, okay? Tony Stark and Captain America, y'all weren't there, okay? I heard all this stuff, right? I'm the king of Wakanda. When I was there, I heard all of this stuff, right? So what he says is, they basically gave the world an ultimatum. Phoenix 5, they're basically giving the world power. They're giving the world water. They're giving the world food, right? And basically, he's saying that they can do more. And he's basically like, you know, Cyclops is like talking, and he's basically saying that, you know, there's gonna be no more war, right? Like there's like no more wars will be fought. No more people will have to fight. Everyone will have what they need. No more war, right? No, there will be no more violence in this world that we create, right? And basically, Black Panther is on board with it because it sounds good. Like, it's not, you know, a bad thing, right? So, with Captain America and Iron Man, they're still uneasy about it, right? Because there's a lot that could still, like, go wrong with just these 5 people having these powers, right? So, with that happening, we actually get this vision, right, from the Scarlet Witch. And basically, what it shows is the old school Avengers, like, from when they first showed up, or not when they first showed up, like, after Captain America was found, you know, like, basically them. Like, when they showed up, basically them just getting annihilated by the Phoenix, right? And basically this is the vision of the Scarlet Witch, right? You know, she's basically saying this is how it ends, right? Like the Phoenix is gonna, you know, destroy everything, pretty much. That's basically what that vision is to say. So with that happening, we come to the present day, pretty much, right? Like I'm not too sure how that. It was a lot of skipping around. I don't know. Like it's very weird. But we come to the present day, I guess. And basically what's happening is, the Avengers are getting ready to launch a mission inside of Utopia, pretty much, right? Basically going on a mission to take Hope Summers and get her out of there, right? So basically they're going with this mission, and Black Panther, he chimes in. He's like, okay, no, I can't go in there. Like, I can't see a Wakandan leader, you know, coming in to do this stuff. Like, it don't look like her. Like, I can't do that. I have to stay here, right? So with that happening, they all get ready for this halo jump, which is like high altitude, low open. Basically they're gonna get like super low to the ground and then open their parachutes, like, so no one will see them coming when they actually, you know, start flying down, right? So with that happening, like Emma Frost and Cyclops, they immediately feel it, right? Like their telepathic powers are ridiculous at this point, right? Like they sense all of this stuff coming, right? So with that happening, they bust into the room, right? They start taking all these different kids out. They go grab Hope Summers, and they're getting ready to leave. But as soon as they get ready to leave, Emma Frost and Cyclops shows up, right? So with that happening, they just start taking all these Avengers out, right? Like Tony Stark, Thor is about to get ready to fight him, like all this different stuff. They're just taking the Avengers out, right? Thor gets blasted away, and eventually the Scarlet Witch shows up. Now, the Scarlet Witch showing up scares the piss out of Cyclops and Emma Frost, right? Like she probably could take those two out, right? Like it wouldn't be too hard for, you know, like for them to telepathically contact like Namor, Magic, and Colossus to show up, and they could probably, you know, like they could take her out at that point. But as it stands right now, she could probably defeat both of them by herself. Like people sleep on Scarlet Witch. Like she is a beast when it comes to the comics. Like in the movies, yeah, I get everyone, you know, like they hate Scarlet Witch, you know, those are trained on like oh Wanda Maximoff, she sucks, you know, she's, you know, like stuff like that. But she is ridiculously powerful, right? Like she could probably take those two out, and she's actually, you know, like making it known, right? Like she shows up and she's like, this gotta stop, right? Literally scaring the piss out of Cyclops. And basically what she's saying is she's taking hope away. Cyclops, you know, he goes to grab, you know, Scarlet Witch, and it like zaps her, right? You know, like he gets like scared. He's like, oh snap, I felt that right there. All right, do what you do, just like that, right? He comes in there, takes Hope Summers, all of the Avengers, and they leave, right? Now this right here is more important, right? So basically what they're saying is like every single time, you know, like Emma Frost and Cyclops, they're talking, they're just like saying every single time they get close to actually, you know, freeing themselves of this oppression, the Avengers show up. Every single time they have a chance to fight back, the Avengers show up. Every single time they have a chance to live better lives, the Avengers show up, right? So like at the end of all this, no more Avengers. And that's exactly the thing that that Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, said when she got rid of all the mutants. No more mutants. They're like literally taking the powers away from millions of mutants. Like not even millions. Like I don't even know how many it was. Like it was across the entire multiverse, right? That's basically what that was a callback to, right? So we're gonna end this video here. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and I will see y'all in the next one.